It is such a pleasure to be here. And let me first welcome everybody this afternoon, in particular the Sharon Andrews team to Angola. It's certainly a pleasure having you here as part of Angola marketing to the North American NPO as well for the Angola Tourist Board. As you are aware, the government of Angola established in 2007, accepted in 2011, the Strategic Tourism Master Plan for 2020. That master plan for the first time is an overarching document that will guide Angola's placement in the marketplace globally over the medium and long term. That document was funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. It was accepted by the government as Angola's document going forward. It was accepted by the CDB as Angola's document going forward to guide tourism and to guide Angola's placement in the marketplace and to guide Angola's product development as well. That document speaks to not only how we're going to do things, but why we're going to do things. Because in many instances, Angola cannot continue to do things the way we have been doing in the past. Things change, cultures change, technology changes, and certainly if Angola doesn't change, we stand a chance of being lost in the dust. In fact, we can already see many destinations that have come up since Angola and have gone past Angola in many instances. And I can just name a few. For many decades, the Windward Islands were known basically for bananas, and that's it. Agricultural products, and that's it. But today, if you look at many of the islands in that chain, St. Lucia in particular, you will see St. Lucia has made a serious dent into the tourism market over the last 5, 10, 15 years. And in many instances, they've gone into the luxury end of the market as well, and competing with Angola in certain segments of the market. Angola in particular, we have had hotels and other aspects of the tourism industry in place before St. Bart's. In fact, I recall when I was a child, persons from St. Bart's came to Angola to do commerce. I won't say what we used to call them, but they came to Angola to purchase peas and sheep and pigs and to take back to St. Bart's because we grew those things here. We had agricultural base and we had services here, things that St. Bart's did. In fact, we started the hotels back in the 1950s, Lloyd's Hotel and so forth. And then Melihana started in 79 before St. Bart's took off. But today there's a luxury niche that St. Bart's has taken over that we have lost in many instances over the past decades. But all is not lost. Angola has an innate beauty. Angola has innate products that many of these islands do. St. Lucia cannot compare with our beaches. St. Bart's cannot compare with our people. And many other destinations cannot compare with what we have here to offer. So our tradition has been when things get tough, the tough get good. We have known a history of drought. We have known a history of starvation. We had to travel many, many hundreds of miles for people to work in Santo Domingo and Cuba and Trinidad and Guyana to send money back home to raise the children. And then oil fields and oil refineries and carriers all over the world. What do you think? So today, as we ply forward in ensuring that our tourism master plan changes how we view ourselves, changes how we project ourselves to the world, changes how we do things, we have to work that master plan in a way that brings dividends for Angola. And certainly one of the changes that we have to bring to that master plan is the way we are represented around the world. No longer can we be satisfied with a representation that does not bring value for money. At the end of the day, we have metrics to measure in terms of visitors' arrivals, in terms of heads and beds, as I'm learning the lingo as well. At the end of the day, we need to measure the money we spend. And as a member of the Ministry of Finance and Ministry of Tourism, I think it is important that we have representation, that ensures that what they do can be measured on an annual basis to see how the dollars that we put in represent and reflects to visitors on the ground. I think that's the only way we can change really how we are viewed around the world. And it's the only way we can measure and the only way we can proceed in terms of ensuring that we get back to where we need to be. So we're here today to listen to Sharon Andrews and the presentation. After a long request for proposals that was done through CHL Consulting out of the United Kingdom. We did go through a very rigorous process of selecting the North American rep. And that tender process lasted between August and December last year. We got some 41, I think, or 42 hits through the process. Out of that, we had to whittle down to about 12 and invited 12 to send in proposals. And out of those 12, we were able to invite 4 to come to Angola interviews for the interview process, which was wrapped up around the second week in December last year. So I want to welcome Sharon Andrews here today, and I'm certain you will see the presentations as you represented not only on the RFP, but also as part of the physical presentation that was made through the teams and the assessment or the assessing of the proposals. Before I sit, I just would like to acknowledge the presence of Ms. Jasmine Garraway. Ms. Jasmine Garraway has been a phenomenal resource to the Ministry of Tourism over the past three years. Ms. Jasmine Garraway was instrumental in the development and the production of the STMP master plan that was funded by CEA. That process led to the document. But as you all are aware, in the Caribbean, documents are plenty. You can find documents in every ministry and every shelf. And many of those documents are never implemented after spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. The second phase of the good reason around document is why Ms. Garraway is here today. We were able to secure a consultancy from the Commonwealth Secretariat that was again tendered worldwide, was again tendered throughout the world. And Ms. Garraway had to compete through that tendering process, even though she was here before through the process for the CDB. But based on the fact that of her experience, based on the fact of her knowledge, based on the fact that she was already on ground, based on the fact that she knows Angola intimately, that tendering process through the Commonwealth Secretariat yielded the production of Ms. Garraway once again with us. So we're here now to implement the STMP going forward through the implementation of operational plans, through the implementation of different categories of the consultancy. In particular, 2 other categories that she will mention as the head of the project implementation unit. One consultancy is to deal with the total revamping of tourism regulation and legislation in Angola. Our legislation and regulation in tourism is archaic. It is old. It is certainly seen better times. We are now in 2013. We have issues of beat spending. We have issues of people dealing with other issues of other places. And we now need to revamp our legislation in keeping with modern times. One of the outcomes of the STMP is to remove product development back into the Ministry of Tourism, where the Ministry of Tourism can deal and resource the issues of developing a product for tourism. So that legislative consultancy will assist in revamping the legislation to ensure that tourism is a seamless process through the ministry and through the ATB. The other consultancy that will be funded through the Commonwealth Secretariat is the marketing consultancy for Government of Angola's marketing and coordination of marketing worldwide. There needs to be training locally. There needs to be training at the ATB. There needs to be training at the ministry with regard to tourism issues for marketing and public relations. I think the time has come when the ministry and the ATB has to have the inborn ability to do certain things and to advise and to direct. Because at the end of the day, when we hire consultants, we simply cannot accept what the consultants say. We need to be in a position to direct. We need to be in a position to say what's best for Angola as Angola. So that consultancy with the marketing will assist the government in developing some of that construction. So there's a lot of work going on. It's been, for the last year has been eventful. I cannot begin to tell you how eventful. I've been permanent secretary for tourism now since January 2012. But it has been a very challenging year, a very difficult year. This is my third posting as permanent secretary. My first posting was in the Ministry of Health for many years, in my background most years. And my second posting was in the Chief Minister's Office in Lands and Physical Planning and Home Affairs and Immigration. And when I learned that I was being transferred to tourism and economic development, I said to myself, well, for the first time I'm going to have an easy posting, and I'll be able to rest, and I'll be able to sit back for a bit and just look at things. Needless to say, that has not been my experience. But it cannot be in retrospect, because tourism and economic development is what everything else is built on. There is no hospital, there is no education, there is no way for us to pay my salary, there is no way for us to pay all the operators in the civil service if we do not get tourism right. And that is what I want to leave you with. My final message is, we must get tourism right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers, for your remarks. And I would also at this time like to recognize the presence of Mrs. Bonnie Lake, Dr. Bonnie Lake, who is a member of and representing today the STMP Steering Committee. We have been talking a lot about the STMP, the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan, and so we would like at this point to invite the coordinator, Ms. Jasmine Garroway, to come forward and just share with us a little bit on the context of this afternoon's procedures within the parameters of the STMP. Ms. Garroway.
Members of the head table, permanent secretaries, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, representatives of the media. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure that I haven't seen you for many months. Well, the permanent secretary we have completed the master plan, and many of you were involved in consultations and discussions that led to the compilation of that document. Now we must move on to the next step, which is to walk the walk. We have had a number of very useful guidelines in terms of moving forward that have emanated from the plan. In particular, we have crafted a vision for what Angola sees itself as being in the next 10 years in terms of tourism. We've been able to get concrete information on the fact that the tagline, which was used previously, tranquility wrapped in blue, is the preferred tagline, not only from the industry, but also from the travel trade operating internationally. So there are some very useful guidelines already in place for the work that has to be done on the marketing end. The next step is to determine what we have to do at the product end and who will do it. The support that was mentioned by the Permanent Secretary coming from the Commonwealth Secretariat provides for the setting up of a project management unit. That team has in fact been working all along through the preparation of the plan, and I'd like to acknowledge them. Gina Brooks, the tourism planner, please stand. Patricia Harrigan, the product development officer, and Shalicia Brooks Johnson, the research officer. These individuals, along with myself, make up the team that will move the plan forward. We also have very good supporting systems in that all of the permanent secretaries in the government of Anguilla are members of the project steering committee, so that they are given insights and in-depth explanations as to the roles we're playing and the work we have to do, and we get useful feedback from them, and this team is headed by the Deputy Governor. And we meet on an average on a monthly basis. In the field, we've set up the tourism working groups, which are made up of individuals with particular skills and talents, people who have special interest in tourism in the various tourism development areas. You may recall that the island of Anguilla was divided into 3 tourism development areas, the West End, the Central, and the East End. And there are groups operating in each of these areas that are dealing specifically with what are the tourism assets in these areas that are worthy of enhancement and that can be pulled together to create a better tourism product. We also have an oversight team, because a lot of the tourism assets of the island are managed or they are responsible parties such as the different departments of environment, of lands, and so on, the National Trust and others. And so we've put all of these people together in the Interministerial Committee on the Environment. And they meet quite often under the auspices of the Permanent Secretary dealing with lands and environment to discuss what in fact can be done with the assets that have been identified or prioritized by the working groups. And this is clearly because a lot of these assets are in private hands. So that within the context of all of these support systems, the ministry will be working, I think, in a very strategic way. What are the things that we have to do now? The project management unit will be looking at several things. And under each of these headings, there are a number of subsets and a number of activities. But one of the main things that I'm in charge with doing is resource mobilization. Of course, we can't do anything without money. And in the first phase of the master plan preparation, we were very fortunate to get a lot of assistance from external donors. Having said that, that does not guarantee that this will be the same moving forward. We have our own fiscal challenges here, and so do the donors, and a lot of these funds are being diverted to different parts of the world. Nonetheless, it is something that I've managed to navigate, and so will continue to do so during this phase. The other thing that we have to look at is training, not necessarily duplicating the role of the Anguilla Community College, but the training that has to be delivered directly into the ministry, into the project management unit, to ensure that there's an element of sustainability, that the young people that I have just mentioned would be in a position to move forward, regardless of donor aid, regardless of consultancies that might be made available, to sustain the work that we have identified. And so there will be a number of training initiatives for this group, which will be shared by those appropriate subsectors of the tourism industry. We'll be working closely with the Anguilla Community College also to provide some guidance in the kinds of tourism studies that may have to be delivered to all persons, I believe, working across the tourism sector here. All the various things that people need to know, and some of that will come out of the trade end, but some of that will come out of more of the academic end. A mention was made of the legislation that has to be addressed. Again, the Commonwealth Fund has provided us, or will be providing us with a legislative draft because of the needs that had been identified, the archaic, in some instances, legislation, and the fact that the tourism industry here has evolved and developed to such a stage that a number of the pieces of legislation that might have applied before the world knew what tourism was or would become are now obsolete. So there will be need for addressing those, as well as looking at new pieces of legislation that will be drafted to support some of the new directions that Anguilla's tourism will be taking. The marketing support is meant to support the units within the ATB and give them greater strengths, capacity building for marketing management. We have the marketing in capable hands. We need to manage that process. And so the Commonwealth again has provided specialists that will be working very closely with the ATB and by extension HDA if it's needed in that regard. Some of the other things that we'll be doing, of course, will hopefully make a direct impact on the tourism product. Not only on the accommodation sector, which has been targeted for greening in the master plan, but also in the tangible and intangible outputs. Where we have value for money, quality and service standards and things of that nature. So we will be needing to collaborate very closely with the Hotel Association and the members who are the owners and the managers of the tourism product in order to bring about some improvements where they are deemed to be necessary. Putting these things all in a nutshell, I think if we look at the work that has to be done on the product, the outcomes of the work of the tourism working groups, the legislation, all of these elements, the bottom line is that we need to ensure that the tourism product that we are enhancing, because we do have the basic elements and in some instances elements that are very high standard, we need to ensure that the tourism product as a whole meets the expectations of the visitor. And so this calls for not only, as I said, the tangible, the intangible, the legislation, the ownership, but all of this has to translate into some underground products, things that people can touch and feel and see and do, things that will allow people to, our visitors to stay a day or more longer, to spend a little more, and to be sure that the whole experience is as rich as it could be. There are potential products that have not evolved or have not developed at the scale for which they have the potential that will create that. And so that brings us to the work we have to do with the Angular Tourist Board. We must work very closely with the Tourist Board. We cannot work in isolation. And this is to be sure that the work that has to be done in the field is all synchronized. We are hoping to improve and craft a product that the Tourist Board and their agents will be selling and marketing. And that in a nutshell calls for three things I'd like to leave you with: coordination, collaboration, and concerted action. And I think if we were able to achieve that in the short to medium term, with all the work that we have to do, life will be better for us, for our visitors, and also for our agents. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Garraway. Now that the context has been set, it is time for us to hear from the team that we have all come here to hear from, to direct you into this afternoon's presentation. Ms. Davis.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to acknowledge the protocol already established and also introduce the team leader, Cheryl Andrews. Cheryl Andrews is the president and CEO of Cheryl Andrews Marketing and Communication. She founded the company in 1987. She's an active member of the Society of American Travel Writers, Hospitality Sales and Marketing Association International, Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, Caribbean Tourism Organization, and the Miami Forum. Cheryl brings first-hand experience and a smart, fresh approach to all public relations and marketing challenges facing clients, their strategic planning and crisis communications to media relations, advertising, and collateral development. She has created and implemented PR, marketing, and launch campaigns for resorts and destinations throughout the Caribbean, South Florida, Central America, and for more than 21 years. The award-winning agency has created a niche within the market and has made its mark on the travel industry and an area of high-profile clients. Renowned for its creative approach and publicity that garners solid media coverage for clients, The agency prides itself on its ability to create tactical strategies that land clients on the covers of major magazines and in strategic positions online and within key social media communications. In Cheryl's own words, and I quote, "Our specialization and expertise in the travel industry has made us the go-to firm for top writers looking for newsworthy information in a timely manner. And when we call, they listen. We are the PR firm that delivers the big wins that ultimately drive the bottom line." End quote. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mrs. Cheryl Andrews, President and CEO of Cheryl Andrews Marketing and Communications.
Chantel's just said it all. I don't need to do anything. If I stand here, can you all hear me? Yes. Yes? I don't want to. First, I want to give a round of thanks to all the people here who've made today possible for us to be here. P.S., Ms. Galloway, Rick Niles, Chairman Richardson, Ms. Samuels, everybody else in this room who was part of making today happen. We are very, very grateful. It's been a while coming, and we can't, well, I can't say we can't wait to get started because we've already started. We are 2 weeks into this, and actually we've been working more than that, so we're thrilled. So, thank you, Chantel, again, for giving me something to live up to. But I want to share with you some of our vision that fits in your strategic plan. And I'm sure you'll have questions, thoughts. If you'll save those for the end, we'll try to be quick and painless, relatively quick and painless, but we have a lot to cover. You're going to hear lots of information in the next hour or so, but we're going to focus on 3 key strategies that's going to help take the Anguilla tourism message out to North America. And by North, I should say, North America is, to us, the Caribbean, the United States, and Canada. And we're happy to say that we've engaged the services of Dale Cushing, that many of you know. She's going to stay in place for Canada. So 3 key strategies that are going to help make Anguilla succeed. Thank you. First, I'm not there yet, but we're gonna show you how our embracing the new technology is going to make everybody's life easier and smarter and put more heads in beds. We deliver high-profile, maximum PR awareness instantly. That's something that's going to put lots of smiles on your face very quickly, because we were able to, with our contacts, having been in this industry for almost 30 years now, we can pick up the phone and give our team here, talk to the New York Times or to Ireland's Magazine or to all the key online people to say, here's good, great, timely, and well news. And the third thing we are going to deliver to you is to maximize the social media experience. And it's critical today that we get there. So here's how we get there. For the team, Turkey tourism specialists. We've got on this table over 200 years. It's sort of scary that we have so much experience, but I know lots of you know lots of these faces here. 200 years of expertise. PR and sales and marketing experts with knowledgeable names in the industry. We have great public and private sector understanding, quite obviously. How we move forward, we're going to leverage this team expertise skill set, and you'll see throughout the next hour how the sales and marketing team interacts with the PR team. We really wanted to work with Anguilla. I can't tell you how, Mr. Richardson knows, how hungry we were for this account. We came down in December with 5 members of our team for 3 days. showing, I think, starting to show part of the commitment. This week, most of us came in Sunday, most of us are leaving Saturday. This week, we have 9 people here on the ground to get to know your needs, wants, thoughts, challenges, and ways to move forward. So we want to understand your needs. We need to talk to each of you. We've made a commitment for clear, regular communication. We will talk to somebody in the ATB office every day, several times a week, and we will reach out to you regularly. We're absolutely goal-driven. Holly, Jennifer, Christina, I can speak to, have just this passion for making the bell ring in our office when we get some wonderful public relations coverage and something. And we will deliver tangible results. We've heard over and over since December, how do you guarantee journalists or agents you think are actually going to deliver and work for us? It's a business. It's a business for you. It's a business for us. We don't have time for proofers. We deal with people who are actually credible, going to work and deliver the right things. Our team, 25 years plus, I think that's been said. Holly Zayer, Senior Account Supervisor, has been with the company 9 years. And Holly used to lead we worked with the Tourist Board of Nevis for 11 years, and Holly led that account and put Nevis on the cover of the New York Times, Islands, Town Country, lots of things that will complement some of the things that Aquila has to offer. She has 2 children. She spent her daughter's first birthday here in Anguilla because she was so committed. We're never going to talk about it. Jennifer Johnson, a Caribbean native. Anguilla? Jennifer used to work with Air Jamaica. She's been with our company 5 years last Sunday. And Jennifer has worked on our Trinidad Tobago account. We've represented the Tourist Board of Trinidad Tobago for PR for 18 years now. And last November, just a couple of weeks before we came down here to talk to your board, we were fortunate enough to celebrate Jennifer's huge win, getting Trinidad on the cover of the Caribbean New York Times section, November 11th, and it was a huge win that helped put heads in beds for Trinidad, and Jennifer's challenged now to replicate that. Christina Baez is the newer member of our team, but she comes with 3 years of destination expertise. She's really good in crisis communication, which is always a handy thing to have. And where'd you go to school? University of Florida. Crazy athlete, watch out, don't get a Hollywood. And Jim Stevens, so some of you have seen around. Jim's our creative director, and I just want to point out that he's taken, this morning we figured it was 1,129 shots already this week, but that's probably 250 more now. Anyway, so that it immediately gives you a new photo library that we're going to work with. And Jim? And the way TTM and CAM work together, we work together on Trinidad Tobago, sales and marketing side, PR side, and we're a seamless team. Just so you know. But they get all the hard questions about sales and marketing.
Thank you, Cheryl. I'd like to introduce you to our sales and marketing team. We have 3 of the 4 of us here, and 5 of you, 4 of the 5 if you count. Firstly, we have Jill. Jill's been working in Caribbean marketing and sales for over 20 years. She's lived in Cayman, she's lived in BVI, so she has an understanding of what island life is like. She was the publisher of the Gold Book, for those of you who remember the travel agent Bible for the Caribbean. She also was the publisher for Caribbean Media and Events, so she has a very broad spectrum of Caribbean marketing. And the travel plan, yes, and travel planners as well. Yeah. And she also handles our digital and print ads and marketing. We have Heather Schubert, who's not here with us today. Unfortunately, she couldn't make it this week. She's our brand and research specialist. She's based out of Houston. She started her branding career with ATB Chicago, which is one of the biggest ad agencies in the world. She's been involved with the Caribbean for 15 years. She's done work with the Bahamas, with Bonaire, Antigua, including Atlantis and Paradise Island, Miami Beach. And I'll talk a little bit more about well, she's not here now, but she will be here very shortly, and I'll address that a little later on. Next, we have a pair of bells that are sitting here. Both are Trinidadian nationals, so we're giving a Caribbean flavour here. I lived in Cambridge as well. First we have Sandy. Sandy was a Swiss hotel school trained. She's worked for Ritz-Carlton and she's worked for Rock Resorts, and Rock Resorts being the landings in St. Lucia and a Half Moon in Jamaica. So she has excellent sales experience, which will be very relevant to the Angular product. She also worked for a year for Bookit.com, so she has all the online knowledge from the other side of the fence. And then Tracy spent 5 years managing 5,000 rooms for Sol Melia's Caribbean rooms for Sol Melia in their online marketing. So she knows the online marketing side of hotels very, very well. She also was the Caribbean regional market manager for Priceline.com. So between us all, we have a very broad depth of the hotel product as well as the destination product. We love the STMP, the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan. We think it's a fantastic document. I'm sure obviously you're all aware of the vision, so I won't read it out. But we really like it, and it's going to be what guides us through our sales and marketing activities throughout the next couple of years, hopefully longer. And all credit to Jasmine and her team. We think it's a wonderful document, and that's the same what's going to guide us. Within that document, I think when I read it the second or third time, we found that they identified 11 marketing factors that affected Angular's marketing sales. So I've distilled these down to very short sound bites, and we'll go to them in a little bit more detail. Firstly, obviously we have very limited resources for Angular, which means we have to be very focused. I mean, Paradise Island has a small island, has a $12 million budget for its promotion board, and then has another $30 million for Atlantis on top of that. So we can't compete in that arena, so we have to be very resourceful and very careful about how we spend our money. Brand protection, I'll talk a little bit more about branding in a minute. But what we mean by brand protection is if we were offered a free ad in the New York Post, we wouldn't take it. It's a wrong environment. New York Times, we would. Web and technology focus, Tracy's going to talk a bit more about this. Obviously, what's been fantastic in the travel industry in the last 5 to 10 years is the ability now for the small hotels to compete with the large hotel, and the small island to compete with the large island, because technology has enabled us to do that. Season extension, every island wants to do it if they can. Can we build business outside of the peak winter? Everybody tries to do it. It's not the easiest of tasks. We've got a couple of ideas. Research driven. We've got to use the data that exists and find more data to guide us into better decision making. Cooperative marketing. We really want to have a go at this, because if we can get private sector and public sector funds together, then obviously those funds are going to stretch much further. Jill and I have done a lot of this in the past with the Gold Book and things. And Sandy and Tracy have done it on the online space with OTAs. Local knowledge and support. We've had a huge amount of that this week. We've had absolutely fantastic time. Absolutely non-stop, seeing hotels and a beautiful island and all the things that are going on, and all the support we've had from the ATB. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Knowledge sharing in terms of, this was in the report too, that the more knowledge we can share amongst each other, the better we're all going to be collectively. Monitor, measure and track activities. Once again, if we want to be nimble, if we want to be on the ball, we've got to actually monitor what we're doing and react very quickly. Accessibility, we all know this is a huge challenge. Huge, huge challenge. The long-term solution, of course, is a new airport and airlines flying in all over the place. We don't build runways, so we won't be doing that for you. But in the short term, we've got a couple of ideas about how we might be able to make it a bit more palatable. And once again, niche markets, beaches are leading, but what else do we have? What else can we promote? So going into those in a little bit more detail. Tracy.
Okay, so limited resources is the sort of first thing that we had in the strategic sustainable tourism plan. What that means for us, we have to do more with less. And one of the key ways that we can do that is 65% of Americans book online. More than that, research online. We need to be in that space, and we need to be everywhere that Anguilla should be, so that when they are looking, they find us and they don't find somebody else. What that means for us, it includes the individual hotel websites, it includes being in the online space with the OTAs, and it includes the destination website. Content is absolutely key. We really have to make sure that works, and capturing the data there, so that when we are speaking or when someone is searching, we're capturing where they're coming from. We all know that the Northeast of the United States of America is a really key market for us, but it's a big space. And being able to zero in and figure out exactly where those people are searching for us is going to be a really important way that we can maximize our tourism dollars. Similarly, putting in beach destination or luxury destination is not enough. We need to narrow it down a lot more so that people are finding the attributes and the activities that they want in an Anguilla destination and coming here as a result of those activities that we are pursuing there. That sort of summarizes it. We'll answer questions later on. Tim?
Hit Tracy with Q&A later on that. In terms of brand protection, Heather, our brand specialist, has been talking with Jasmine, and the moment the plan is for her to come down the first week of April and do a strategic planning session. She will survey all the stakeholders beforehand online, so she comes on, and then there will be lots of different focus groups to establish direction, strategy, and as Jasmine mentioned, do we go back to tranquility and blue and all those things? Because doing that now, we need to do it immediately. In the framework of the STMP, this is not something different, it's part of it, progress, where are we going? So without really saying much more about that, I think it's stand by, it's only 2 weeks away, and hopefully we can get some very positive strategic planning from Heather on that. I've been involved, sorry.
And we would ask, I spoke with Heather this morning, she's working on her questionnaire that's going to go out to all the stakeholders. You're going to help us with that. And she asked that you turn around that questionnaire as quickly as possible so that she can digest that and be better prepared to come back here April 1st and really go forward. She's going to be on the ground all week on multiple meetings with lots of people. So be on the lookout for the questionnaire.
I've worked with her on several of these, and she's very, very good. So moving into accessibility, particularly for a first timer to Anguilla, it's very difficult to find out how to get here. The good news about American Airlines having code share with Cape Air is great, but you can't get on, you can't afford it. It doesn't really work. There's no other code sharing, there's no other way of realizing you can get here by air. The ferry service is badly documented in most cases. You can't find quite how to do it. So I'm telling you things you know. But what we thought was quite a simple way to approach this was to make sure that everywhere that it should be posted, that a better description of how to catch a ferry, actually what you really have to do, how you book it, and all those things should be made much more dominant. Obviously on the ATB website, but also on all the hotels, all the stakeholders' websites. And we're going to start writing that probably this evening. Also, what we want to do is quickly create a video that shows the excellent adventure it really is of catching the ferry from St. Martin. Nice flat ride, drink in a hand, sunny afternoon. That's part of the experience. So we're going to try and turn what appears to be a negative into a positive. And that's a video that all the hotels can post and everything, and try and encourage that to happen. The other thing we were talking about doing was sometimes when you go to Europe, when you land, you see a video of what to do when you get out of the aeroplane and customs control and all that. When you get to Juliana Airport, this is where we do how you get to the ferry terminal and things like that, an actual video which is showing you exactly what the steps are, what it looks like, so to try and negate some of those fears. And one other situation we were talking about the other day is that some hotels bill the customer for the ferry ride when they get to the hotel. And I think them trying to make it a seamless approach would also help a lot. Because some people just do not know the ferry system exists, yet it's 75% of tourism arrives that way. So there's things we're going to work on immediately to try and alleviate what appears to be this challenge. And we'll obviously have to work with you to do that. But air is the answer, but that's going to be a while. And Travel, Sandy.
All right, forgive me, I have a funny accent. I can't say my R's in the two companies I worked for. It's Walk and it's Ritz, so it's So as Tracy had mentioned, 65% of consumers are booking their own travel online, whether that's Expedia or your website directly. That's great, but please do not diminish the value of traditional wholesalers. When somebody of an affluent traveler, say the luxury, the niche markets, and the mature markets, when they're booking their travel, they're still approaching travel agents because travel agents are the expertise. And you know America. America are kind of stingy with their vacation. They have 2 weeks. They want to spend those 2 weeks worthwhile. So they're going to go to the experts. The experts, in turn, are going to go to the wholesalers. And there's many reasons for that. It's, they have better flight options. They have more hotel room options, activities. The overall customer service, should anything go wrong, they're going to help rebook. And let's not forget, they have better commissions, and that's pretty much what they go for. So we are going to really target those key partners. Travel Impressions, LiveGo, Classic Vacations, and we are going to really work on a strong relationship with them. We're going to find out when their trade shows are. Now, don't forget these trade shows, as small as they are it's invitation only. So you are getting key top producing travel agents. And as I mentioned, those are very, very important, especially to a high-end destination like Anguilla. I really do believe that this is the 20 that's going to get us the 80. On that note, I'm going to pass it over to Jill because Jill definitely has other options for hitting that travel agent component.
I've never noticed the alcohol before.
Hear me on the phone.
Okay, so let's talk about the independent travel agent and the travel agent community. What we know right now is that according to the Airline Reporting Corps, there are approximately 120,000 travel agents across 25,000 travel agencies in North America. And this is I want that ringtone. I want to download. Approximately 18 to 20% of these people actually work from home. Most of them run their own independent business from home. Some of them are affiliated to some of the larger travel agencies like Travel Leaders, for example. Although these numbers have declined in recent years, the ones that are left are actually very good. They're very savvy. They are very often specialists in niche markets, and many of them that have become very successful more recently have really morphed into travel connoisseurs and rather than a travel agent. They're like a concierge service, if you will. It's not possible to visit all 120,000 travel agents in our market, unfortunately. So what we believe the best platform to targeting these travel agents is a travel agent training program. And the best way to do that in our market, in North America, is to partner with one of the major travel trade media houses. And there are 4, actually there are 5. And our method would be to send out an RFP after developing it in discussion with stakeholders and ATB and invite their responses and recommend the best fit for Anguilla. The way these are put together are great because each platform develops, in conjunction with us, a module so that agents start off with the easy stuff, they graduate, they have to pass before they can proceed to the next level. And the great thing about this is we can pepper this with incentives that range from gift certificates, the Macy's or wherever, maybe a mini iPad here and there, but we want to reserve the fan trips for those that graduate the full course and are proven to be the best performing agents. The net result of all of this is we should have a consolidated and Anguilla advocate or connoisseur travel agent this very exciting destination. E-marketing is another sector that we want to target. We will continue doing an e-newsletter that I know you've had going for a while. Some of you have contributed content, and obviously we'd like to invite you to continue doing that. It will go out on a monthly basis, and we would like very much to continue working with the ATB's database that's in existence now to make one great consolidated double opt-in database that's working for everyone. Next one. And season extension, what we mean by that is we would like to extend the traditional peak season throughout the year by working and developing some of the niche markets. One of the benefits of working with niche markets is that they tend to prefer not to travel during peak season. They like the shoulder season or the off-peak season. And with the special interest groups, they don't necessarily want to be amongst the other tourists. Some of the usual niche markets, of course, include weddings and honeymoons, diving, heritage and culture, but there are some others that we may not have explored before, which include the mature market, for example. When I say mature, I don't mean the old and infirm, I mean people like me, that are of the shade over 48. Well, just a shade. Like to travel, have higher disposable income and more time because their kids have gone to college. And they're now living their dream of traveling. We've actually worked with AARP in North America, which has yielded some great results for some of our other clients, very tangible, trackable transactions that have resulted in quite a high dollar figure. And it's worked very well for us indeed. We've also recently created a birding fan trip for another client, and I think that's a really interesting niche to explore for Anguilla, given the fact that there are over 120 species of birds in a relatively small footprint. The other thing to note about the birding and eco-tourists, of course, is they actually don't gravitate towards the luxury accommodation market. They often prefer the mid-market, comfortable, boutique hotel, eco-inn as an experience. Also, we chatted with a few people while we've been here about the incentive market, which is something we are continuing to develop research on. But basically, it's a very lucrative market. It can be expensive to reach out to because the incentive shows are very expensive. But it's very lucrative and potentially a gold mine, specifically for the villa market and the five-star property, rather than the mid-market. Okay, so special events. We would like to actually expand on the festivals that are currently happening like Del Mar, the Festival Del Mar, the Lit Fest, and it would be great to explore reviving the Jazz Festival and looking at some other opportunities there. And you're going to do
Yeah. So, looking at some numbers as I often do, and I noticed from the statistical department that if you added the numbers for Dutch West Indies, French West Indies, and Caribbean, and I'm not quite sure why you have them broken out that way, it actually is 15% of the total market of tourists that arrived in 2012, 3 times the size of Canada. And I think there's great potential in the off-season to attract more from that market. Overall in the Caribbean, that market's declined probably by a half because of all the problems with inter-regional travel with Liat and Carib Express and everything else that's been going on, and terrifically high prices that now exist with Liat. However, it's still a huge market. And the other thing about it, for going into the shoulder seasons and off-peak, is that Caribbean nationals and Caribbean residents understand much better the idea of island hopping and ferries and all that. That's what they live with, so it's not so much of an object in the way. They also understand the warmer weather in the summer and the odd storm. They're much more appreciative of that. And what's even more important, I think, is that whilst I don't think the ATB have really marketed to that market recently, nowadays the technology means it's much cheaper and much more efficient to market to than it ever has been. I would say, like, 5 to 10 years ago, you'd have to buy ads in newspapers and Leanne magazines and things like that to try and hit Caribbean nationals. Now you can buy just a multitude of websites. You can come in and out every day, different messages all across the region's newspapers, and we can pick specific markets first and see how that works, and really have an interesting campaign to see if we can drive, Caribbean nationals in through the off-season. Co-op marketing, which we've spoken about here before, many of the things that we'll do with the ATB may potentially be things we can also have private sector participation in. And obviously we haven't gotten into the granular part of which ones and how we're going to do it. But as I say, we have a lot of experience of how to make that happen. One other thing is that we may also be able to make it happen that those in the private sector who wish to participate in the hotel industry, we may be able to use room inventory to raise the cash to participate. So it wouldn't be a cash injection. We'd take rooms inventory and probably use Sky Auction to monetize that. So in other words, we might be able to make everybody's dollar stretch better and use unused room inventory to make that happen. So this was also, of course, in the STMP. And it's normally outside the remit of a rep, but we think it's very important and we're happy to be a part of it. One thing we'd like to do in terms of knowledge sharing is organize at some point an on-island sales and marketing conference, whereby we would invite TripAdvisor, Google, the head of HSMAI, and those sort of head cutting-edge travel marketing companies to come down for a 2-day seminar and stand here like this, and obviously do a much better presentation than me, but actually tell everybody what's going on in the industry, and everybody can learn from it and how they can participate. We'd have to see how some will come because we think there's potential business for them. Some we might have to pay for. We'd have to work that out. But we've done it a couple of times, and it really is enthralling to hear exactly what's happening from the cutting edge leaders. Advocacy. I know that you've embraced tourism as key. I happen to be instrumental in that. And there's a new pilot program running in Barbados at the moment to take it to the next level of getting it into every hospitality worker's head. That 70% plus in Anguilla, right, of GDP is responsible, is made up from travel and tourism, and over 70% of employment too. So those...
Is anything done like that now? Paycheck stuffers, and how important tourism is to the economy? Any ads on Access Anguilla, public service announcements?
We do have an ad that appears in the newspaper every day, supporting the tourism campaign as well as banners along
the pilot in Barbados, that should be happening any time, is we're going to have a competition, have about 4 questions, which say something like, how much of Barbados' GDP is dependent on tourism? It'll be a multi-choice answer, 32, 52, 72, 82, so they have to think about what it is. How much of employment is due to tourism, etc. And everybody would fill that in, post it in. So it would be in the operations manager at a hotel, it would be online, in the newspapers, and spread across the island and publicised. For the Barbados one, we've got Interval International to give us a week stay in a fancy apartment in Orlando, and there's staycations at nice hotels in Barbados, and all these are the prices you can win if you enter. And so, obviously, everybody has to think about the percentages, so it gives them some idea of where they're going there. And of course, all the results are announced, they're in the press, on the radio and the TV, and it pushes the message right across. So we haven't done it Caribbean-wide, we're just trying this pilot. If it works, then obviously we bring it out around the rest. And then the last point here, obviously research, WTTC and STR research and things like that, which we can share with everybody all the time. It's very important that everybody understands as much as they can about the industry. This slide hopefully will be redundant by next week. There's a lot of, we only signed the contract this week, as you know, so there's a lot of information we don't yet have. We don't have web analytics from the website, what's been going on, who's been visiting the website, where they're coming from, where they're going to, how long are they staying, and all those normal analytics that are very necessary. We don't have any booking engine data from the STS widget that's on the website, all those things we need to get. What's happened with previous ad campaigns and promotions? If things were working, let's make sure we keep doing them. Current media commitments, what have we got coming down the pipe? Let's make sure we honour those or move away. Call centre analytics, how many phone calls are coming in every day, from where are they coming, what time of day, what day of week, what are they asking for, all those sort of things we need to get hold of very quickly and do our analysis thereof. What collateral is, in fact we know there's not that much because we're rebranding. Wedding statistics, okay, if we're going to go after the wedding market, well how many international wedding licenses were issued last year? You know, are we pushing too much money against too little? I'm not saying we are, but we need to know those numbers are there somewhere for us to react to. And then trade show analysis, I mean Marie did a lot of trade shows, very diligent. We've got a list of the shows she went to. We haven't read the reports and things like that yet, so to see which trade shows we continue to support and which ones we might drop and replace with other ones. So as I say, this hopefully will be a dead slide next week as we go through and find out all that information. So that ends, for the moment, the sales and marketing part of the presentation. We're going to come back at the end with a couple of other ideas. In the meantime, I'm going to hand over to Holly.
Everybody, so this is my favorite part. We get to talk about public relations. And we're going to backtrack a little bit and just talk about what public relations is and what we do so you can see examples of some of our work. When we came here in December, we basically filled the room with poster boards of all of our big wins, and we were really happy that most of them were only about a week or two old. We had a New York Times and then W and some really exciting magazines. So just to illustrate our reach, this is a chart that we get for, in 2012, we secured 900 million media impressions for our clients. That wasn't just print publications, it was print, online, broadcast media, so we have reach within all platforms. These are just a few examples. Since we couldn't bring the posters, we have them up here. Some coverage for our clients. So Kirby Travel and Life, unfortunately, no longer exists. It was a go-to publication, but thankfully, a lot of those writers were folded into Islands magazine, which we still love. And this was a 2-page feature story on a client of ours on Palm Island in the Grenadines, similar to some of the properties here in Willa. Premier Bride magazine. This was actually a promotion, a free promotion for our client. And they received online coverage as well as a 4-page spread in the outlet. And this was for Ocean Clubs Resorts in Turks and Caicos, which is actually a wonderful story because it's an older resort. It's only 3-star. They really have no news. They have not renovated in how long, Cheryl? Ever. But we still constantly get them on the covers of magazines, and this is just proof that you don't necessarily have to be new to get news. T Magazine with the New York Times. This was when I was working with Nevis. It's a beautiful glossy publication. This was featured Golden Rock, which is a plantation inn. We had a 2-page spread there. And Smithsonian Magazine, I mean, look at those impressions. They're huge. And this was by my dear friend Jennifer here. She had a 10-page spread on Carnival in Trinidad. These are some of the titles that we're going to be going out to on behalf of Anguilla. As you'll see, we basically are reaching a number of the top tier outlets. We have Canadian publications, trade and consumer, as well as broadcasts, consumer publications, lifestyle publications. We really, this is just the beginning of the list. This is going to take us into the beginning of kind of our strategic plan with our key message development. I just want to point out that we're going to be talking a little bit about a 90-day plan, which Chantal's printed some out, so you all will be able to go home with some light reading that you can have. But it's going to be a joint effort between the PR aspect and the sales and marketing aspect. It's going to tell you what we're going to be doing over the next 90 days, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. And first off is the key message development. And I want to ask Tim to maybe jump back in and use your Davis analogy here to introduce our key message development.
Thank you very much. When we presented back in December, somebody was asking us about brand and image, and we used the analogy of the CDs. So, in other words, the CDs is a very upmarket, very respected, protected brand. But the top model is the SS 550, 650 AMG, which costs about $250,000 or whatever it might be. The bottom model is the C200, which costs about $30,000. But the point is, 5-star, 3-star, bed and breakfast, they're all under the umbrella of Mercedes, no matter what star level they are in between. So they're all protected under that Mercedes brand. It's not Hyundai here and everything else. So Anguilla itself is the overall brand, and you can have plenty of multi-brands underneath that in that same sort of analogy.
Thank you. So with that, basically, gathering all the information that we have here, we're going to create a smart and cohesive message that's going to streamline and enhance the brand of Anguilla, and it'll have all of these key points. It'll have niche market allure, a broad demographic appeal, and talk about how the island is culturally enriched as well. And I'm going to pass it on to my colleague Jennifer to talk about the next steps.
With our key message plan, we've identified it runs concurrently with the Sustainable Tourism Master Plan, which was something we did not recognize immediately, but once we found out, we realized that we are definitely working in conjunction with the direction of the ATB and the tourism vision. Now, with our key message plan, we've identified 4 opportunities. The first opportunity is reputation and branding. Now, we know that the people, the culture, the destination activities is the greatest assets for Anguilla. And what we believe in doing is highlighting and using those assets to our advantage. Using local celebrities, culture, special events, as well as hotels to reach the target audience that we've identified that are intrinsically Anguilla. We believe in using repeat guests. Now, throughout our week here, well, almost week, we have met so many visitors on island who have been here 10, 20, 30 years. Now, I believe that we can use them to tell our story. We can use them to build on family traditions. A lot of them have started coming here from the 70s and the 80s. They've brought their children here. Their children have brought their children here. And what you don't realize is that you've started a trend. It's called multi-generational travel. Why not expand on that? Why not use them to tell the Anguilla story, the Anguilla experience, and have them attract their friends and followers to bring new visitors to the island? Another thing is to build character through messaging and social media. Now, my colleague Christina will talk more on social media, but social media is a free platform that every and anybody can use, whether you're a luxury hotel, whether you're bed and breakfast, whether you're Charming Escape. It is just a great opportunity for you to showcase your product and to attract people and to use your friends and followers to bring new people and new visitors to the island. Another thing is for us to change the accessibility, and I'll talk a little bit about the perception of accessibility, creating packages around that, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we go to positioning, which is another point. Now, niche markets is a key aspect of Anguilla. We've identified weddings and honeymoons, romance, culinary. I mean, we've pretty much eaten our way across the island. I'm gaining 5 pounds myself, barely fit into the suit. Dive and water sports. Dive and water sports, lifestyle and wellness. We visited properties that have sustainable attributes that include having an on-location farm that all their herbs and groceries are grown on location, and that's what they use to make their menu. I mean, these are things that a lot of visitors are interested in knowing. Sailing. Now, why we know sailing is a very big part of activities that are available on Anguilla, I had no idea. It is so intrinsically a part of the culture. It is very much a fiber of who Anguilla is, and that is something we should definitely showcase and highlight to attract new visitors to the island. Another thing is historical and heritage travels. A lot of people, yes, they love the beaches, and by the way, they're just amazing and gorgeous beaches on the island, but a lot of people are trying to go beyond that. They're looking for experiential travel. They want to have a little culture, a little knowledge. They want to learn something while on vacation, and so we can definitely target those travelers as well. And of course, my colleague Jill touched on eco and birding, and that would also help with targeting those off-peak seasons that we don't have a lot of, there's a lot of vacancies. It's not showing a high volume to bring those people to the island at that time. Now, through our 90-day plan that Chantal will be giving out, what we'll be doing is identifying a niche market in each month. And with that, we'll be targeting those publications that are geared towards those targeted audiences. And by doing that, we'll be in a marketplace that is very targeted, very strategic, and of course, able to expose Anguilla to as many people as possible. The next thing is positioning, and the reason why we believe this is very important, and Tim went in great detail in it, is that we enjoyed coming over on the ferry, and it is a great experience. So why not change the perception of accessibility? Change it into a part of the Anguilla experience. Don't isolate it, but embrace it. And these are some of the things we feel, if you have webisodes, whether it's on your Facebook page, whether it's on the ATB page, if you have these on cross-platform locations, it will allow people to have that information and be educated that this is something that they can truly enjoy. Of course, highlight added value. What else do you get when you get here? Anguillans are beautiful, amazing, charming, engaging people. We have met some wonderful people while on island, and like I said, it's your greatest asset. Use it to your advantage. We also feel that using strategic media placement is also very important in the marketplace. We think that if you use your fans and followers to have great reviews, whether it's on TripAdvisor, whether it's on your personal website, whether it's on Facebook, build on that conversation. Because if you have a controlled environment where the standard is still uplifted and it's still maintained, it will keep and strengthen the brand that is Anguilla. Another way is by utilizing Condé Nast Traveler has the Reader's Choice Awards, Travel & Leisure has the Golden List Award. By submitting properties and other stakeholders who have given excellent service and have, you do have the testaments to show it, whether it's on TripAdvisor or on your website, we can use that as a platform to also build and strengthen the brand profile that is Anguilla. Lastly is identity, and again, it's pretty much tying in everything I just said. We need to build on the brand that is Anguilla. I believe that the first thing we need to do is education. I heard a gentleman say last night that a lot of people aren't even familiar with what Anguilla is. That is a part of building the brand and the identity. We also need to expose the whole experience, intrinsic experiences that are here and available in Anguilla. Festival Del Mar. It is deeply rooted in the culture. Why not promote it? Why not invite other visitors to come over, not just from St. Martin, but regionally and internationally, to come and experience that part of the island. And that ties into how do we increase consumer confidence. I went to a forum a few weeks ago in New York that speaks to destination marketing and acceleration. And one of the things is people and consumers have confidence the more controlled and experienced content they're exposed to. So if we are tying in our Facebook page, if we're tying in the destination's tourism page, and the content is controlled, it is desirable, it is still maintaining a high end that is Anguilla, then they have confidence in the island and they're more willing to come and experience the destination. From there, how we're going to do this is by utilizing tactical Anguilla media relations in exposing the Anguilla story. In order to enhance the destination profile, it is vital that the right message is disseminated to the target audience with relevant and timely information. How do we do this? We will be the architects of the story. We will manage and ensure that whatever is being disseminated into the marketplace is of the standard that still exudes the Anguilla experience. We will be conducting an extensive and very involved and comprehensive media audit because we want to know what media personnel has already come to the destination. We understand that you are running a business, and if you're hosting a journalist, you want to know what your ROI is. That's where we come in. We will not be sending a journalist that we feel is not going to give you the results that you desire. So we'll be vetting those journalists, those opportunities, before they get to you. And then we go to press trips. Now, press trips we feel is a very important aspect in getting the story out. A lot of writers, they kind of want to have the texture and the feel of the destination before they can write it. And before a writer will even set foot on a plane, like I said, we'll ensure that they're the targeted audience, they'll be reaching the targeted audience we feel that are type of travelers that should be coming to Anguilla. And lastly, it's media tours. Now, we've identified that there are many publications that do not conduct hosted press trips. And we've noticed that we've learned this through our very long experience with Cheryl, of course, the 25 plus years, and also with other campaigns and projects that we've been doing. Now, there's a high concentrated area in New York that has a lot of these publications that do not take hosted press trips, but are very much open and willing to have desk side briefings. And it's great to be in front of these writers and these editors to tell your story. What's new at your property? What's new on Anguilla? And these are things we believe are very important in definitely getting traction and getting the Anguilla story out there. And now I'll go to my colleague Christina, who will talk about social media.
Later on, when you see our 90-day plan, you're going to notice that one of the first things we plan on doing this month is doing a social media audit. Within that audit, we're going to evaluate Anguilla's current social media platforms. Just to give you a little quick overview, right now you have 3,500 Twitter followers as well as 5,000 Facebook fans. We're going to look within these platforms and we're going to see who these people are and how they are engaging with Anguilla. And to what level. Are they liking your photos? Are they talking? Are they commenting? How are they speaking to the destination? Based on our findings, we are going to develop a social media plan. It's a strategic plan that will not only engage our current followers, but also build new ones. We're going to use social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Google+, YouTube, Instagram, as well as seek out new and emerging social technologies and platforms to build the brand up. Across all of these platforms, we're going to create a unified messaging, and a unified messaging that uses a unified tone and reflects the feel of Anguilla and the brand itself. We will engage on social media with followers. I mean, since we've been here, we've met countless people who come here every year. They come here every year, they've been coming here for 10, 15, 20 years. Those people are on social media, and we're going to engage with those people on social media to be our brand ambassadors, to promote the destination for us, essentially. To develop some of the ideas that we've come up with in some of our plans, we've been looking at some travel trends that we see for 2013. Our first travel trend that we see is the trend of technology. We found that 2012 is set to be the year of the smartphone. And now for 2013, what's been said is it's going to be the year of the tablet. So with looking at that, we are finding that travelers are actually using these technologies mostly to research their vacations, also to book, and also throughout their vacation. Through the entire vacation processes, they're using their smartphones, they're using their tablets, and since we've been on island, we've noticed that that most of the hotels and a lot of the restaurants, you guys are already offering free Wi-Fi. You're speaking to that trend and you're on top of it. And what we need to ensure now is we need to be sure that all of the information that is out there online and on these platforms, on tablets and on smartphones, is not only accurate, it's up to date, but it's also engaging. Because, again, they're using them throughout the entire process. We can do this through developing individual hotel apps as well as a destination-focused app. Our next travel trend that we see is the trend of the savvy traveler. Travelers today are in the know. They research, they're doing their own research, and they know, they're knowledgeable. They're coming to the destination and they know what to expect. And as we've been traveling through, we've met a lot of the hoteliers, and a lot of you guys have pointed out one thing to us, and that is that in the wake of a recession, we have travelers today who are expecting more value for less money. So they're looking for an experience overall. Another trend that we see is the trend of the multi-generational travel. This, as my colleagues pointed out earlier, this is a trend that Anguilla is already speaking to. We have people who have came when they were young, they brought their kids, now their kids are bringing their kids. And we need to engage them and appeal to teens, toddlers, and grandparents, all in one. And we find that this is a trend that's particularly good for the Anguilla Villa market. And we have some ideas and that are going to speak to these trends, and my colleague Holly is going to take that over.
Basically done, so just give us 2 more minutes. So some of the ideas and the opportunities that we've been talking about, none of this is set in stone, but these are just some of the ideas that we want to bring to the table. We'd love your feedback, and Tim's going to jump in as well. Mini takeovers, and these would happen in various target markets within North America, where we would bring in Anguillians to tell your story, to engage one-on-one with consumers. Social media scavenger hunt, and follow up to what Christina was talking about, is how do we engage people before they come, and then once they're on property, or on island, and then following, and we can make them. Well, we want them to go to the beach, but leave the beach as well, and take them around the destination to encourage them to take photos. I mean, there's nothing better than, me and Cheryl standing on the beach, taking a photo, posting it on Facebook, and saying, we wish you were here. They're your #1 ambassador to sell the destination. Webisodes is something that Tim spoke about a little bit earlier. These are lifestyle videos that we'll be able to use on the Facebook pages, Twitter, at trade shows, on the website, which basically will tell your story visually through 2-minute videos that we can incorporate from when you land at the airport, you take the ferry over, and they all will reach the various niche markets. And island-wide Wi-Fi. This is something that we talked about back in December. We thought it would be a great story to tell, PR-wise, but not only a great sales point as well, as to have island-wide Wi-Fi. But since we've been here, we realize there's great Wi-Fi in a lot of various places. So, if for whatever reason we can't do that, we can, spin it a little bit and just talk about how it is readily available here, because it really does speak to who your consumer is, and the CEOs and those higher profile travelers who need to stay connected while they're here. And I'll pass over to Tim.
Also to Tracy.
One of the 2 things that we're working on since we started, we have almost got a complete commitment to do a tour operator event. So I'm going to call it a big tour operator event, which has been told. Give everybody a haircut. But probably not. In May. We're thinking directly after Smart. I know a lot of the hotels do go across to Smart. And all the tour operators come there. All of Expedia market managers, travel professionals, classic. Everybody's there anyway. One of the things we can do, bring them over, incorporate the whole experience of traveling from St. Martin, which is what most of their guests are going to be doing, and making it a fun experience, 2 or 3 days on island. Most of them haven't been here in a while, we think. And so incorporating the whole experience, it's going to be a lot less expensive for us to do that, because they've already gotten all the way to St. Martin. We just have to get them visit out the last little leg of the way. The next thing we did was we actually approached one of the larger, high-end tour operators, whose name you would know if I told you, but I can't, about they have an annual event where they bring their top sellers to a specific destination. And these are their top travel partner sellers. And there are about 30 of them that they're going to bring on here. And that's looking to be done in October or November, depending on the timing. And they've given us the right of first refusal for the destination of Anguilla to host it. And it's actually a relatively, they are absorbing most of the cost of this, most of the profile of it we would be benefiting greatly from that. And there would be a small commitment that we would have to make to try and get those 30 top sellers from the whole North American market to come and visit the destination, and then be here for 4 days to do that. So rather than individual small fan trips, which we will also do, these are 2 very high-profile events that we want to do with the gatekeepers of a lot of the customers from the North American market.
And one last bullet point before I hand back to Cheryl to close. I met with MasterCard last week in Miami and discussed for a couple of hours how we might be able to promote Anguilla to all their card holders, but their elite card holders. They have 2 levels. One is 100,000 minimum household income a year, but as Mahmood's firstly to the 250,000 minimum household income a year, black cards they have, and all the special privileges and services. And they're quite keen for us to get this together. They've never done it before with a nation. So what we would have to do is have Anguilla, a special promotion. So it would be public and private sector. It would be, have to have something like a fifth line free, some sort of preferential treatments, like perhaps showing your card at customs and having a preferential line, having chef tables specially for them, certain things like that, which I know we can do. It's just a matter of sitting down and we're sorting out the detail. They could then promote that in 2 or 3 different ways, and only one of them I think is going to cost us any money. The one that costs us money is if we go through what they call their MasterCard advisors, which is a big number crunching organization, which they have millions of cardholders, but we can actually segment, we can define by DMAs, by all sorts of different profiles, by the number of times they travel, where they travel, how much they spend on travel. We can actually go into their database and crunch that through to pick who we want to go and promote to. That costs a little bit of money, and as yet it's undefined. The super elite card services have a travel agency run by Carlson Wagon that looks after all their travel services. So if you're a black card holder and you want to go anywhere, this travel agency is specially there for them. And we can market through that travel agency specifically to the black card holders. The other way we can do it is just by general data marketing to them when they get their statements and sending messages about Anguilla with that particular offer. And there's also a possibility for that highly elite group that we could do private banking promotion. In other words, JP Morgan's black card holders, we could possibly go just to those specific people. So all those promotions would be completely open. Nobody else would know they're going on. They're very private and obviously very much into the Anguilla demographic. So they haven't done it yet, so I don't know if we can do it, but they're quite excited to get it going, and I'll see them when I get back. Carry on. Meantime, Cheryl's going to make us a promise.
Back in December, we actually had 7 promises. Today, I stand before you and say, we recognize Anguilla is special. Anguilla has so many unique attributes. It's our promise to deliver those unique attributes to your markets. Most importantly, we work hard, we aim for success, we want you to succeed, and we want everybody to have smiles on their face. Let's have some fun. Let's get to work. I'll get back to you on that. We have some very specific line items. One is the mature market line item. That's absolutely digital. We have a broad advertising budget. It's not huge, it's still not huge. And we expect to, as Tim suggested, perhaps in the summer, go after shoulder seasons, go after the Caribbean via the online newspaper websites, because that's very important. I can't ever see us buying an ad in the New Yorker or the New York Times because we simply can't afford it.
I understand that there was a lot of talk about variety of offline PR, a lot of offline efforts that nevertheless cost money in terms of your own time and energy and the programs you have to work with and pay. And really only Christina spoke quite a great deal about social media and online, which you mentioned scattered, but the overall sound that I heard was a lot of offline and not a lot of online, whereas the majority of bookings are independently researched and made online and increasing. So I'm hearing a discrepancy.
We do have a line item for search engine marketing, which we didn't discuss, and so it always Google and big and find the right results, and then driving people to the website, which needs some attention, as we all know. So we're going to look into that. Everywhere we want to drive people, obviously we'll go to the website. There's a booking engine on there at the moment. Don't believe everybody's comfortable with. We need to make sure people book to get to the website. We don't have all the answers there, but we do have obviously line items in the budget for electronic marketing, for sure. It's the only way to go.
In fact, Marie was good enough to share a lot of the activities that she had pursued, and I don't think they had done any online activity at all. Certainly, we didn't see any evidence of it. They did, when we looked at all the different activities that they had pursued last year, it was about 70% of all the things that they did spoke to individual bricks and mortar travel agents. And we are not going to be pursuing that at all. One of the things that we're going to be looking at doing is events like the big tour operator event, we are going to be looking at this high-end tour operator event that will be offline events, but things that we will do in terms of marketing with the Expedias and Travelocities doing banners on their sites so that we can start capturing some of the share of voice on those sites. Some of the stuff we're doing with Google SEM. At this moment, we have to finalize exactly how much it is going to be, but it will be a not insignificant portion of the sales and marketing efforts are going to be targeted to online because we do believe that that's where we will get very, very quick results and also very trackable results. We can scale it up, scale it down, and we can change it as we find out whether it's working or not working. We can share with you, down the road some of those results and some of those successes, but it will be a not insignificant portion of what we're doing because we do believe in that online environment being so important to get a broad reach out there.
And just to add that on the PR side of things, I agree that you have to have an online presence, and so all those publications that we showed, they're print publications, but they have online outlets as well. So anything you're going to get in print, you're going to get online. And in our vetting process, people are working harder than ever these days. Staffs are smaller than ever. So we vet and we look for journalists who have multiple platforms to deliver on. So we want a journalist who's not going to come down and give us just one story. We're looking for somebody who's going to come down and deliver 5 stories for us. And they're branding themselves as well. So they're going to have a strong online following on their own Twitter and Facebook pages, and they're going to be posting for us throughout. They might have a blog. They might blog for the publications outlet as well, the publication itself. So we're getting print, online, social media, and all these various platforms through one journalist.
Right, as I mentioned, this is why it's important for us to control the content. That is on the ATB website. That is on social media to ensure that the messaging is unified and the tonality is maintained for what is in Aquila. Whether the writer is an online writer, whether he's a print writer, or he does both, or he or she does both, it's important that the messaging is controlled, and that's our responsibility, to orchestrate that, to make sure that we keep the desirable content out there as many platforms as possible, because the more platforms there are, the more information your consumers will have. And that's what we're responsible for in charge.
Good question. Yes, ma'am.
Sure. What are we dealing with regard to fam trips, travel agent fam trips? I'm a little bit concerned about this huge emphasis upon tour operators, which costs us all a fortune, right? And is targeted at the larger hotels. The medium-range hotels do not get in those tour operator things as they should do. They can't. They don't have enough rooms. So are we targeting any fam trips this year, as we've done in the past, which actually have been very successful, I find, for the middle-of-the-road hotel? If you concentrate too much on the LibGo and the travel impression and the classic, you are targeting the 5-star market. You're not targeting that middle market.
Naturally, we're going to be doing travel agent fan trips. We had talked yesterday evening about some of this stuff, and you had mentioned the fact that you felt that the Anguilla connoisseurs had done a very good job, and that you really wanted to encourage us to continue that summer of fan trips. We're not saying that we're not going to do them. We're not saying that we're only going to do tour operator events. But we do think that those are worthwhile events to add to the series of things that have currently been doing. But we also want to make sure that the travel agents that we are going after with the travel agent training program are going to be the ones who are most able to meet most of your requirements for across all the different types of products that you have. And specifically, like the online tour operators actually carry more of a portfolio. Expedia has a greater number of hotels that they will work with
Yes,
than
that's
any
true.
other distribution channel.
Yeah.
Booking.com is the single largest in the world, despite what Expedia tells you. They're kind of running internet, but Booking is larger. So all of those smaller properties, the individual villas, actually benefit from those. We bundle the online tour operators into a tour operator bucket, and it does cost you more money. It costs you a lot more money not to have that room filled. So we're just really trying to get all of as many options for you to get them to see the properties and the destination, which will benefit the greatest number of you as quickly as we possibly can. And travel agents are absolutely an integral part of any distribution strategy.
I agree with you with regard to the Expedias and everything. I'm more worried about the other biggies that actually take up it. Certainly with the Expedias, they do give the middle of the road hotel a lot of play. There's no question.
Also, Sue, I'm sorry, I can't see you, so I'm going to stand. The travel agent training program that we want to implement is, what we want to do is reward the best performing and most engaged travel agents with a fan trip, rather than just go out to the travel agent community and say, would you like to have a free trip? And I will. Oh, I will. Please,
No,
I
I
will.
don't think, but I really actually, I have to disagree there. I don't think that's been done in the past. I think they have targeted, even though there might be a lot of people in this room that might not agree with me, they actually have been targeted fairly well.
I'm not saying that was what was done in the past, I'm just saying
What you're going to do in the
doing it
future.
that way,
Yeah.
we'd like to reward those agents that really work hard to, and may not have had an opportunity to come here before, but are dying to come and really want to make money selling the destination. And we believe that the travel agent training program is really going to unearth those mid-market independent travel agents, whereas what Sandy and Tracy will be doing will uncover those luxury travel agents. So hopefully we're going to have a really good mix amongst the travel agent community. And fan trips, obviously, as Tracy said, are a very, very important part of it. We just want to make it really cool to get a travel agent fan trip here rather than make it too easy. We want them to work for it.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask a little more about the social media side of things. What's happened over the last few years? I was a very early adopter of social media with people like Bob Green doing the Angular AI site for many, many years. And there's a whole bunch of people in this room that create a lot of very good independent content for Angular Features, Angular Access, the Angular Guide. I'm just wondering how you are proposing to capitalise on their expertise, the content that they produce, and how you're going to move forward with those kind of people.
Thank you for bringing that. That's part of the reason we're here this week. That's part of the reason we're here in this room, because we need to connect with you. There's no better way than for us to say, help us. We appreciate everything that you know. We need to share, and if we can start a conversation and figure out how to go forward.
Ideally, we would love to just to bridge the gap between all of those entities. Whether we tag you or share with you, are you following the Angular ATB page? Is the Angular ATB page following you? That sort of thing. So that is where the research and very comprehensive evaluation of the social media campaign will start, to make sure that all of that is very much included and everyone has that voice, and like everybody's voice is being heard, regardless of whose page it is. But to make sure that once we do that, everyone's on the same page, and the more voices that are sitting, the stronger the information can be heard. So we're definitely working towards that.
I want to ask somebody here mentioned webisodes. When we toured Robin's garden last night, I thought what a cool webisode that would make, of having a storyline of having the chef go through the garden with somebody, a visitor, picking the cabbage, going into the kitchen with the chef, making the meal, two-minute clip, and I need to ask your help. That's one idea, but I'm sure there are 1,000 other stories here in Anguilla that could make great little webisodes that would tell unique stories. So we've been here since Sunday. I've learned a few, but help me. Tell us your stories, please.
So catch your own fish.
Yes, yes.
Things that will speak to the Anguilla experience, but you are the orchestrator of it, you're the architect. And I mean, if you have one of your guests doing it, it's the ideal way for new visitors to say, oh wow, that's pretty cool. But we're visual people. We're visual people. We want to see what we're gonna get. So, and webisodes is a very integral and vital part of doing that. So we do encourage ideas and suggestions that do speak to something that is very unique to your property, your brand, what you're offering. We're open to those because that is what is going to build the brand and very much strengthen the profile in the marketplace.
On that note, those webisodes can also be used within the travel agent training program, and also the mature market program that I spoke about has this e-marketing program where you can actually email videos to that mature market database. So you can actually tailor the videos, catching your own fish, but you know, 40 that kind of thing. It's target marketing, so you have to remember that. But please, any content that you're willing to build in that respect, so we can push it out far.
Sir,
Sorry.
he's next. Go ahead.
We're involved, or I'm involved in competitive cycling in Anguilla, and I'm talking about a niche market. And this would be absolutely an ideal thing to promote, because every year, and this year will be the 14th annual John T. race, which is an international race.
Wait, let's I have a question for you. Don't leave. Sit down. Sorry. Okay.
Which is an international race, and we invite people from all over, wherever we can get them. And we're getting more and more interest. We had 3 press from Italy, and we feel that we could make this a far bigger event than it currently is. So that's just something to...
But we liked your idea about the every month, every month having a different niche market. I think that was a brilliant idea.
Mr. Corso, quick question. Is it possible, we're talking about putting a video on your boat, some of these boats. Technically, can we do that? Can you do that?
Definitely you can.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir.
I want to ask what strategies or what proposals you would have for counteracting negative publicity that's out there in the tourism market, in light of the fact that you have such a tremendous program for outreach in the tourism market. From time to time, you have those negative factors that impact tourism in small destinations like Anguilla, in particular, crime and so forth. What strategies are you proposing that you will put in place in order to counteract that negative market that is out there?
Well, the bad news is that we have lots of experience in crisis communications. The good news is that we have lots of experience in crisis. We've represented Trinidad and Tobago 18 years. A fun fact that never got out very much, very widely. In 2009, St. Kitts Nevis had the second highest per capita murder rate in the world, second to Somalia. in the world? My client, Beavis. And we were able to manage that terrible, terrible actual stat. And we do that by talking the good news and just blasting the good news and being connected with the journalists who are going to put the good news out there. Now, are there going to be reports on NBC about crime? Probably. And we just circle back and say, here's the good news, here's the good news, here's the good news. I sat down in November with, because you are such a safe country, and when somebody robs a tourist on the beach, it's big news here. But it's not big news in New York. It's not going to make the news in New York. Is it going to appear on your Facebook page? Somebody? Probably. But the world at large, it's not going to make a play.
I think we need to be a little bit more sensitive to the fact that in the world of the big three are beaches, people, and safety. If a crime appears in Trinidad and makes it into a large threat on TripAdvisor, it doesn't actually lose a single visitor. It turns into a large threat on TripAdvisor, it impacts one of our big three foundational unique selling propositions. And it's such a small island that impact is a lot bigger than it is for a large island like Trinidad. So that message really needs to be pre-prepared, or your plan needs to be that much better. You're right, it won't make NBC. Not the impact, but the impact on TripAdvisor alone.
Part of our response, which I'm talking about, is our connecting as quickly as we do, and showing our response that we can get following it, so we work on it, and that's what people really want to see.
They want to see the action.
They don't want to see that we're just kind of brushing it off. Our job is to.
I'm glad to hear that, because really you get at the front of the story.
Last September, Trinidad had a terrible environmental crisis where they photos appeared around the world with bulldozers crushing leatherback turtles in their nesting sites. They had traveled with this terrible storm. Fortunately, we missed that story, but the next day I was able to, Jennifer was actually able to connect to an environmentalist in Trinidad who made a statement saying it had to happen because the eggs were at risk anyway. This is why we did what we did. It's going to mean that the turtles come back even stronger. Travel Weekly and USA Today wrote the retraction on a different story the next day. They bankrupt. So we're aware of how quickly we need to turn around the news. It's something we all have to care about. We all have to watch what we say. We have to be proud of our little island here and how safe it is, and not add to the chatter out there. It's dangerous.
But our problem too has been with the very, very guest, right, who is our repeat guest of 20 years, has actually fueled the flame on TripAdvisor. That 300 and whatever it was thread was an absolute disaster for Anguilla. Because God knows the people were coming back, but look at all the people that read it that will say, oh my God, Anguilla is not the place to come to. This is what we needed you then. Now it's come on.
I just want to make one last comment, and that's that we are here to serve you, and you guys are our lifeline. So we would like to hear stories like Robin and about his, he thinks we should go after the cycling industry. You guys are, that's why we're here on the island, to listen to you and to hear what you have to say. And we all have plenty of cards, so when we leave this room, take our information and contact us and keep us informed. Because in turn, that's how we are going to promote your Anguilla and how to put more heads in beds.
And lastly, we do have a press trip earmarked for May, and therefore we're looking to you as our stakeholders to be our partners, because we are ready to get started and get the story out to your audience and to those consumers that are definitely going to be viewing your shows.
Can I say just one more thing? You can do all the marketing, you can do all the PR in the world, but unless we get our accessibility sorted out, we're finished, right? So somehow or another, you've got to get, as you've said in your presentation, one of the most important things is how to get to Anguilla before you do anything. Because you can have the whole world wanting to come here, but how do they get here? I think that's really the most important. With the late night ferry sorted out, hopefully, and the early morning ferry sorted out, hopefully. Hello, Leslie. I feel that's what is very, very important.
I just want to mention in what Sue said, but also people forget that we have an airline that flies in and out of here, a local one, that we'd like to have more recognition for, that does a great job and is like your own private jet. So I just want to make sure that that is part of the access when you're programming.
Yeah.
If there are no further questions from the floor, I would like to invite the Executive Director of the AHTA, Ms. Gilda Gong-Samuel, to bring her down on this presentation.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My task this afternoon is to present you with the vote of thanks. So without further ado, here goes. On behalf of the Anguilla Hotel and Tourism Association, the Ministry of Tourism, and the Anguilla Tourist Board, I would like to extend sincere thanks and appreciation to those who participated in this presentation this evening and contributed to the success of the presentation. Before I go any further, I'd just like to deviate 1 minute. I would like to say on behalf of Anguilla, and probably everyone sitting here and every school child in Anguilla, thank you for being here. We are very proud of our decision to choose you as our next marketing professionals. We look forward to working with you very closely. I look forward to working with you very closely, and I look forward to bombarding you with information. I hope we have a very long and prosperous and healthy relationship, and again, welcome to Anguilla. First, I extend thanks to those who participated in the program. Mr. James Harrigan, Mrs. Candice Niles, Mr. Merwin Rogers, Foster's Gone, Ms. Jasmine Garraway, Ms. Chantel Davis, and last, but by no means least, the entire CAMC team. Then I extend thanks to those who worked behind the scenes to make this event successful, including the management and staff of Paradise Cove Resorts, Ms. Corinda Brooks and Mr. Tim Webster of the Department of Information, Technology and E-Services, thank you, and GAF Engineering Services for the provision of our sound system. And the person I drive crazy with my computers almost every day. Thank you, GAF. To the members of the press who made time to be a part of these important proceedings so that the information given can be shared with those who couldn't be here, thank you. And to you, the members of the audience, our valued industry partners and stakeholders, thank you for being here this afternoon. Without you, it would not have been much of an event, so we're glad you're here. If I have omitted anyone, please forgive me. It was not deliberate and it was an error. In case I did, but thank you to everyone and accept my best wishes for a successful 2013, and we're glad you're here.
As you prepare to leave on your way out, you have been such a wonderful audience. You sat for 2 hours